Hi, Team Three. So, in a moment, you'll be seeing your feedback from Sherry Bird, Ivan Habal, and Mark Dussault to your proposal. The sound quality is quite poor, so if you have any questions, just ask me. And I'll also give a little summary right now about what I heard from what they were saying. So what I heard them say was that both your directions that you recommend were indeed very strong directions that they have explored and are interested in further exploring. Or to be more specific, they've explored using the theater differently, and they're interested in exploring both of your recommendations, using the theater differently and taking it more out to the community. In terms of areas of development, they two main points. One was around development. But in a way, I'll tie this back to your process in a second, but in a way, for example, Sherry Bird commented, yes, I love the idea of going out into the community, but I'd like more detail on how. So as you're thinking about this week, you might think about, if you were to go back into the CPS process and use as your question, how might the Belfry take theater out into in the community? You might then have a response that's more developed and that the Belfry could put in place. So they were looking for a little bit. They were curious about what more could be done. The other question that either Ivan or Mark raised, which was a very good one, which is once we go out in the community, what do we do about our brand? Because their brand is so associated with the building. So great questions for your reflection, and from a group of people who are associated with the Belfry who genuinely responded well to your suggestions. So great work. From a process perspective, it looks like, so I have your artifacts, but you didn't work on Moodle, so I don't have as much of the mess as I do from other people. It looks like this team did achieve a really strong balance of divergence and convergence. Even, for example, when I look at your wouldn't it be nice if, it looks like you had all these, divergent ideas and that you were able to sort them into categories and then work from there. So, or even when I look at your lino, where it goes from the divergence to the hits and highlights, and really tightly themed, it seems like your balance was really strong there. Of course, you'll let me know what you felt. Did you feel that you were working enough in both directions? Did you feel you were able to converge while maintaining novelty and keeping it alive? These are the kind of questions you might want to explore in your paper. What I found interesting was when it came to your decision matrix, you chose to put forward two recommendations instead of one. And I think this is linked to the panel's comment that they'd like to see further development, because in choosing to do two, you couldn't go deeply into either one. So if you were going to choose one and really go there to provide the panel with something, what would it be? I think those are all my points and questions. I'll be curious. I noticed in your process experiments, you committed to anthropological research, and that Peter had written about going to Amise while in the States. So, did that help at all? And if so, how? Was that, and we all know it's supposed to help to do this, but specifically, did it and how? Those are just suggestions. I'll be curious about whatever aspects of process and product you would like to explore in your paper, and I look forward to reading it. Thank you. Hi, Team Three. We're just here at the Belfry with Ivan, Mark, and Sherry, and we're just discussing your recommendation about taking theater, bringing different kinds of programming models in, and bringing the theater out into the community. So, take it away.
Well, I'll just start by saying that there are interesting ideas that have been discussed here in terms of trying to reach communities that we're not reaching now, and getting into communities that are reluctant to come into the core of the city. And in terms of expanding the use of the building, it's again an idea that's been discussed in terms of how we do accessibility is kind of a constant battle for us, but it's an idea that we have explored as something being positive in terms of generating more excitement about the building and trying to create a hub around it. So the concepts are strong. The logistics of the concepts are complex, but not insurmountable. But I guess that's my comment to start. Probably have more to say in it. But I'll turn it over to these guys.
Well, my comment is because there already is some of what's happening and using theater differently going on at the Belfry. There are community events that take place here, concerts. I don't know about movies, but there are a variety of events. I feel particular excitement about the second recommendation, which is taking theater to the community. And I would love to see more ideas of how we could do that. I'm really intrigued by that. It's just the spark of the idea here, shedding the constraints of the building and offering performances outside. I'd just like to see more.
You'd like to see that further developed?
I would love to see that further developed. Like, how do you see us doing that? I'd be really interested in having more.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting idea, and I think that's certainly something we've discussed in the past here about how we can do those things. Some of these ideas here, they do kind of cross over between operations and marketing in a lot of ways, and into the artistic realm as well. So it's a little dicey, I kind of think, in that realm as to, coming from a marketing perspective, I don't want to jump in and stomp on the artistic programming or, I think that they have to go hand in hand to do that. And it is the same, again, with the operations of the building and what we're physically able to undertake. We in terms of, when we're rehearsing a show and building a set and doing all of that on stage, it's really, really hard. And certainly other theater companies have done it and had a lot of trouble with it, of, taking a set apart so that you can host something. And, sometimes you can do things on set and other times it just doesn't work very much. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think the idea that's intriguing, that kind of speaks to how you develop an audience, is how you use a community outside of building. I think that in developing that idea, one of the key factors for me is not that there are logistic and operational problems that you deal with in doing something away from the facility that normally supports what you do and supports well what you do. One of the key issues is for us, in particular at the Belfry, would be branding issues in how much what we are and what we do is branded with the building and how much is not branded with the building. And I think we discussed this earlier on, or I answered at least somebody's question about it earlier on in terms of this process, about how the two are interrelated right now. So as you develop concepts of moving away from the building, you have to also be aware and develop strategies around how you don't damage branding of the organization at the same time, or how you expand the branding of the organization to encompass those activities outside of the physical front.
Thank you. I'm sure we could go on for a long time, but let's thank you, team, and thanks to the people at the Belfry, and let's move on. Thank you.